Hi, welcome to this astrology report for May 12th through 15th, 2025. I'm excited to talk to you about the astrology of the week ahead, or Monday through Thursday at least. Right now, we are under the Scorpio full moon. I like to use this chart to highlight the things that I'm talking about as I go. I try to do it pretty quickly. If that's helpful for you, great. And if it's not, my hope is that you can just sort of ignore the visual aspect of this report and just enjoy the astrology as well. Um, so, right now we are under the Scorpio full moon. This is actually a chart for, I'm recording this on Monday morning, and this is a chart for Tuesday morning. But the moon is still in Scorpio at this time, opposing the sun in Taurus. So, we're having that powerful Scorpio full moon. The way the day starts on Monday will probably not be the way it finishes. It may feel like a powerful start to the beginning of the week in some kind of way. This Scorpio full moon is something. When I think about Scorpio, I think about emotional depth. There's a level of emotional depth that comes up at this time for us to learn from. And, sometimes I try to think of different visuals for these different aspects in astrology. And I was thinking about Scorpio and how it's this fixed water sign. And first I thought of a still pond, then I thought of ice. But what I eventually came up with for Scorpio, I think makes a lot more sense. I think when we think about water in nature, we think about sort of the surface of bodies of water. So if you picture a pond, you're probably picturing the surface of a pond. If you picture the ocean, you might picture the waves at the beach and the surface of a lake. But with Scorpio, it's really all that water underneath, right? It's the depth of the lake. It's all the water in the lake underneath the surface. It's the ocean depths. That's Scorpio, that kind of fixed water. There's a lot of potential for deep inner work during this time for that reason. There could be emotional clarity about things that we hadn't had before. There could be sort of breakthroughs in terms of understanding how we feel about something. Just sort of a level of intensity to this. It can be sort of spiritual almost, a heightened intuition, a lot of those powerful feelings. But mostly because there's so much else I want to talk about in the astrology today, I think that we should think about this signature as powerful emotions coming to the surface to be transformed, to tell us something, to be released. So this was building all weekend. And it could have felt a little bit volatile, especially with Uranus sort of being in the mix. I feel like I sort of cut Uranus off in my circle here. Let me see if I can make that a little bit better. There we go. Um, Uranus can make things feel sudden or surprising or sort of shocking. So others' emotions may have been sort of coming to the surface in ways that felt surprising or super intense. And I think that this is also about the emotional depth that we're experiencing. It could be that some of the things that you're feeling right now are really surprising you. The way that you feel about something as we're waking up on Monday morning, especially, and over the weekend. And I think as the week goes, we're processing and we're getting more clarity. We'll get there. But I'm starting with Monday here. It could be that there's something quite surprising about it. Uranus, it's taking you by surprise, the way you feel about something. Um, I also think that it's important to mention the Mercury square Pluto that's happening at the same time. especially because it involves these same houses. Let me get this on our chart as well. So we have the Sun and Uranus here in Taurus, and Mercury is there as well. And Mercury is in something of a square right now and has been with this Pluto retrograde, fairly newly retrograde in Aquarius. And Mercury recently was retrograde in Aries and Pisces and is finally now moved into Taurus. I will actually attach a video at the end of this video about the signatures of Mercury in Taurus. But there is a certain calmness and ability to see with clarity, to move a little bit slower, to think a little bit slower that comes in with this Mercury in Taurus. Mercury's been retrograde. Mercury's been in Pisces, where ideas maybe felt confusing. We didn't know what we thought or felt about something. In Aries, it can almost be easier to zip through the house and just make decisions without really thinking about them. Mercury in Taurus isn't this way. And I feel like this goes so well with the Scorpio full moon right now. It's like, this is a time to slow down and to think and feel about what's going on. I will say there's something potentially like, I don't want to use the word sinister, but I can't really think of another word. There can be sort of some sinister potentials with Mercury square Pluto. It can be words being twisted. It can be words being like manipulative, or someone saying something to try to get something. But it can also be just talking about difficult things, thinking about things that are causing some exploration, a level of depth of thought that we don't usually get into. And then we also have this Scorpio full moon, which can really be about, that emotional clarity coming from depth and from intensity. But there can be something sort of secretive about Scorpio sometimes. So just be on the lookout. This won't come up for everyone. It won't come up in every situation. But there is the potential with some of this lineup, and I think we're fading away from this energy now, for things to not be completely above board, for maybe things to be misrepresented to us, things, perhaps someone to be a bit manipulative, or whenever someone is saying something to try to get you to ... that's manipulation. And there can be potentially some elements of that with something like this. So I just wanted to mention it. But it really can also be just some sort of surprising feelings coming to the surface, something you didn't really expect, asking you to sort of transform in some kind of way. Some powerful communications coming in around that, and just sort of some deep inner work all around. But we can feel that sort of intensity of this whole lineup. I also think it's really important to talk about Jupiter squaring the nodes. For this, I actually need to get rid of these because I'm going to advance our, this is a chart from May 13th. I'm going to advance it to a May 15th chart. Okay, so by Wednesday, the moon has moved on to Sagittarius. So that's feeling a lot more optimistic, a lot more positive and expansive. As much as we're still under that lunation of that Scorpio full moon, something about the moon moving into Sagittarius and breaking up some of that alignment is really interesting. And at this time, actually, the moon will be opposing Jupiter. But really what I want to talk about, because that won't last long, is this Jupiter squaring the nodes signature. Let's do this. So here's Jupiter in Gemini, and here are nodes in Pisces and Virgo, and we have this square aspect coming in at this time. So the nodes are always opposed to each other. I'm not crazy about the color there, but let's go with it. So Jupiter squaring the nodes. There is an optimism, a lift, an expansion that comes with Jupiter that I think is very much needed at this time following this heavy Scorpio full moon, where emotions or feelings came to the surface that surprised us, that asked us to transform in some kind of way, to do something a little bit differently. And this Jupiter square the nodes is really active for the remainder of May. This is active from May 12th through May 31st. It's interesting with the 2 of Gemini. I think that we could find ourselves this week making some decisions, and it might be this or that kind of decision. We may have 2 different things to choose from, or it could be either go this way or not go this way, like a sort of yes or no type of choice. Something to keep in mind. The answer is Pisces, is the North Node in Pisces. See, whatever's happening with Gemini, sometimes we have to do it twice. And then the way that it's splitting with the nodes here makes me think that there's some sort of choice between 2 things. And the South Node is where we're releasing. The North Node is where we're going. So what we're releasing is understanding the plan. So the answer is not to have a full plan. You might not have a full plan. The answer is the freedom of that North Node in Pisces, the surrender, the openness of not knowing all the answers, but knowing that this lights you up. What is the choice that makes you feel really good and excited, where you're going to be able to be your best self if you go that way? If you know that you can bring your full best self into a scenario, you don't need to know everything about the plan or how it's all going to go anyway. Whether it's a job, a relationship, a new adventure of any kind, the most important thing is to bring yourself in your best position possible to the experience. So finding the answer, finding the option that allows you to do that is the way to go. Even if you don't have a plan, even if you don't know exactly what's going to happen. We're all sort of working on releasing that control of Virgo, of over planning, of overworking, of overdoing. This isn't a choice that you need to work and work and work and work and rework. Whatever it is that you're processing in May, whatever decision it is that you're processing, that you're thinking about, it isn't something that you have to turn over and over in your mind. It's something you need to go with your gut about. You need to, it's the astrology suggests that going in the direction of what lights you up, where you'll be able to bring your highest best self to the scenario, that's the direction to go in. You might not know exactly how to get there, but you know you want to go that way. We never know what's going to happen anyway. And I think we've all sort of learned that more and more, that having a plan is sort of futile anyway. So it's okay if you don't know exactly what's going to happen, because things change and we never really do anyway. It might be possible to do both. Whatever this choice point is between the 2, it could be true that you can do both. But I think also it suggests that this is a time where we're processing and integrating and receiving messages and more clarity about all that's been going on, all that came to the surface over the weekend, the end of last week, about what's next. I think it's also indicating that we're processing because we have this Mercury in Taurus and just all this Taurus energy. It's so grounded in the body. And we just had all of the personal planets in fire signs. So I'm sort of glad that let's take a look at that. I'm sort of glad that Mercury has broken that up. We had Mercury here was in Aries, Venus is in Aries, a fire sign, and Mars is in Leo, a fire sign. It's also worth mentioning that Venus and Mars here in fire signs are in a building trine. This is a lovely aspect. There's something good about relationships here. Something fiery about relationships. It could be, it could be a direct message actually about relationships themselves, romantic relationships, and just sort of a romantic signature for sure. But I also think that, just a good time to connect with a partner and just to have fun together and be together and enjoy whatever it is that you do together. But I also think it's just positive for relationships in general. There's a good feeling in interactions when we have Mars and Venus making a trine to each other. They're communicating well. And so we can feel, and all these planets in Taurus too, there is some peace right now. There is some sort of abiding peace as we move through this decision-making process, the surprising emotions that are coming to the surface or feelings about something. There is sort of underneath the surface a harmony between Venus and Mars. We also have this intensity of Scorpio at 29 degrees right now, though. I'm sorry, not Scorpio, Saturn. Get Saturn here at 29 degrees, getting ready to move into Aries. But this is the end of a process. There are sort of big endings right now. Really taking stock very honestly of where you are, where you've been, where others are, where they've been. We cannot deceive ourselves right now with Saturn at 29 degrees of Pisces under a Scorpio full moon with Mercury square Pluto. There's no lying to ourselves. This is a time to be really honest about your part in things, other people's part in things, your limits, other people's limits. And this Saturn is sextiling this Uranus down here that's involved in that full moon that we're under currently at the beginning of the week. So there's just such a seriousness to this week. But at the same time, there's a harmony and there's the ability to process it all. I think that slowing down, being in your body, taking care of yourself, really good care of yourself as much as possible, I think that can help us to let these messages surface. We also have Neptune here, newly in Aries. And I think we're still working with that. It's going to be a while just processing and understanding, really all of these planets shifting back and forth between Aries and Pisces. The North Node crossed over a few months ago. Venus was back and forth in a retrograde. Neptune has moved into Aries now, but will go back for a few months. Saturn as well, same thing, about to cross over. So there are new chapters opening up right now. And you may already sort of know something about the dream, something about this barrier, this new thing you want to do that is coming to the surface, that's breaking through. But when Saturn comes in towards the end of the month, we're going to get more support for how exactly to get there. So this week, I don't think that we're getting all of the answers. I really don't think we're getting all the answers, but I think that we're processing a lot. I think we are getting in touch with our feelings and that we're processing a lot and that we're figuring out what it is we want to do next. This is an amazing time to slow down, listen to your thoughts, listen to your feelings, enjoy the harmony of those positive relationships, do some grounding where possible, whether it's walking in nature, gardening, cooking, uh, all of that is great. And as we move through the month, as we move through that Jupiter square the nodes, especially, I think we're more and more able to process what's come up and figure out where we want to go next. And as Sag moves in, not as Sag moves in, as Saturn moves in towards the end of the month, we get more and more clarity about exactly how to get there. So I hope that this has been helpful. I will attach a couple of videos here that are also relevant to the current astrology, that if you enjoyed this video, you would like those too. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great week. It's an interesting one, a deep one, I do think. Thanks so much for being here.